What is going on, folks? My name is Spice. This is Spice Can't Fish. Today, I've got a little video to show you guys. In the past, I've had a couple of people ask me to do this video, but I had a comment come through a little while ago on one of my old videos, and the comment said that they wanted to see like a full, I guess, tackle tour or tackle arsenal. So I figured I'd do that today since, again, I don't really have a ton of content for you guys. But I just finished getting all my stuff dialed in just in time for the next season, so I figured it would be a perfect opportunity to kind of show you guys how I have all my stuff set up, how I organize all my baits and everything like that. But yeah, we're gonna get right into it. I have a feeling this is probably gonna be a little bit of a longer video, so we're gonna get into it as soon as possible. I'm just gonna try and go through as fast as I can. But I think the way I'm gonna do it is we're gonna go look inside each of my individual boxes. I'm gonna kind of show you guys how I have everything laid out and just kind of explain to you what I have. Again, just probably show you a few baits here and there just so you guys have the kind of a general idea as to the kinds of baits that I like to throw. Advance warning though, I do have a ton of baits and I do have a ton of variety, so you guys aren't gonna be able to see every single bait, every single crankbait, every single swim jig, every single everything. I'm just not gonna be able to tell you what all of them are because I don't know, and it would take me like 6 hours. But yeah, like I said, it's gonna be a little bit of a longer video, so we're gonna get right into it, starting with the first box. Alrighty, so I'm just gonna take you guys through a quick little tour of all the hard baits first, and then we're gonna get into the soft plastics after that. But this is gonna be my first box. I don't really carry this box all too much. This is just kind of like a bunch of miscellaneous stuff. Got some rooster tails in here, some little spoons and stuff. Got a couple of blade baits, a couple of these little hair jigs and stuff. And a few of these little micro chatterbaits, which I actually really like. I did a video on these either last year or the year before. I'll leave it linked down in the description for you guys. But these little chatterbaits are pretty sweet. They're like these super micro little deals. Throw them on super light spinning gear, and the bass absolutely love them. But yeah, nothing really super interesting in here. Again, I don't really throw anything in this box all too much. I just have it for a bunch of like miscellaneous stuff that I don't really know what to do with, so that's what goes in there. Alright, next we're going to go over my terminal tackle real quick. I'm not going to go super in depth. You guys can pause the video and take a look at it if you want to, but I got pretty much everything that I could possibly need for terminal tackle in here. Got a bunch of just random miscellaneous hooks, jig heads, weights. I got a bunch of treble hooks down here, some random beads and stuff that I don't really use, just kind of scattered around. Again, not really going to go into all this stuff. It's kind of super boring, but if you guys want to pause the video, you can take a quick look at that. But again, this is really just all my terminal tackle. This box pretty much always comes with me, regardless if I'm going to a pond or going out on the kayak. I pretty much always bring the terminal tackle box. Alrighty, next up we got my crankbait box. Up here we got square bills, down here we got some deeper diving stuff. So I'm again not really going to go through all of these things, but I'm just going to kind of pick some of them out and show them to you. That's a pretty sweet little bait. That's the Jabberjaw by 13 Fishing. Really want to do a video on that thing. I threw it around a little bit, kind of interesting. So let me know if you guys want to see a video on that in the future, maybe sometime during the spring. That's kind of an interesting little bait. I've also got the 6th Sense version in here somewhere, I think. But yeah, if you guys want to see like maybe a comparison video, or if you guys just want to see how this thing works and hear my honest thoughts and impressions, then let me know down in the comments. But yeah, I got a ton of different types of square bills in here. Got some Booyahs, some KVDs. Got a whole bunch of these little Lucky Crafts. This is actually my favorite square bill on the market right now, although I did just recently pick up some new square bills that I also really am looking forward to trying, so you guys will have to stick around for that unboxing at some point soon. But as of right now, this is my favorite square bill. It's a little silent guy. It's the LC 1.5, so it doesn't really make any sort of noise. There's like a little weight transfer system in here, but other than that, it's a silent square bill, and as you guys can see, this one in particular has gotten absolutely abused. But yeah, I got like my natural shad style ones up here, then I got some like more red kind of off color ones down here. Got some chartreuse guys. That's a pretty sweet little bait actually. That's a little Gary Yamamoto discontinued square bill. Again, they don't make that thing anymore, but I picked up a few of these just when they were going out of stock, I guess, at the local Dick's Sporting Goods back in New York where I used to live. Bought them for like $3, but they're really sweet looking baits. Caught a few fish on them. Again, I don't really throw them all that much just because they are discontinued and they are really hard to get, but really cool little bait there. But yeah, got a bunch of Yozuris, bunch of Rapalos, got a BX Bratton there, got a couple of Berkeleys down there, a couple of Spros here and there. Good variety of some stuff. And like I said, down here, these are going to be like my deeper diving cranks. So these are like my medium diving cranks. So I got stuff that goes from like 8 to 14 foot in here. Got a bunch of these Spro ones, got some Lucky Craft down there, some Livingston, another Berkeley. There's a little, what do they call those, rock crawlers. And then down here is all my deep diving cranks, or most of my deep diving cranks. Don't really throw them all that much because I don't really fish a lot of deep water, but I got pretty much one of each. So we got like a little Fire Tiger coffin bill guy here that doesn't go quite as deep, but still kind of a good little bait just to kind of keep on hand just for a little bit different action. We got like a little bluegill guy under there, a little natural shad, bright red craw color, and then a chartreuse color as well. I don't really throw a square bill or a crankbait all too much because most of the ponds around here are filled with grass, so you guys don't see me throw this stuff all too much, but whenever I get a chance to, I do really like to throw a crank. Alrighty, this box says it's deep diving cranks, but it's not. It's actually lipless crankbaits and jerkbaits. Bottom half of the box, lipless crankbaits, top half is jerkbaits. So the bottom side, got a couple of little tiny liplesses down here. It's a little Vicari, a couple little, like, I don't even know what that is, like a Rapala, and then like a little Walmart lipless or something, I don't know. Then we got a bunch of weird colors in here, got some reds, got some bigger sizes of some liplesses, got a black one, got a blue one, and then up here we have most of like my everyday lipless crankbaits. So these are all going to be like my shad style, my bluegill style. Got a bunch of different companies in here. You guys will notice that with pretty much all of my baits, I have a bunch of different companies. I don't have any sort of like brand loyalty or allegiance or anything. I just see stuff that I like and I throw it and catch fish on it, and it works for me. But yeah, I got a couple of Lucky Crafts, got a couple of Duos, got some Rapalas, got a couple of Cotton Cordels in there, an Ima, a bunch of just random varieties, some Strike King ones in there, obviously. Gotta have some red eye shads. I don't really throw a lipless or a jerkbait all too much for that matter. It is kind of like an early spring, late fall thing for me, just because we have a lot of grass in most of our ponds, and it tends to grow super fast. Once that water starts warming up in the spring, that grass just kind of kick-starts and gets going real quick, and you can't really throw a lipless or a jerkbait over or through that stuff all too well. But early spring, late fall, I love throwing these baits, especially a lipless crankbait. That's one of my favorite baits for either over deeper grass or just early spring, late fall, like I said. And then I actually kind of organize my jerkbaits a little bit differently. Up top, I have a bunch of 3-hook jerkbaits. So all these jerkbaits have 3 hooks on them. And then down here, we got little 2-hook jerkbaits. Generally, like a 2-hook jerkbait like this is going to be on the smaller side as opposed to a 3-hook jerkbait. Like, there's a couple of examples of some 2 hooks right there. And they are generally pretty small as compared to like a normal like 1/10 size 3 hook. So if I'm fishing anywhere with like some smaller bait fish or just fishing a pond or something, I generally notice I go for the smaller sizes. But if I'm trying to imitate a bigger bait fish, or I'm just trying to, you know, fish a bigger body of water or get a bigger bite or something, then I'll go for like the full size 3-hook jerkbaits. But yeah, again, I don't really throw a jerkbait all too much, so I just have like a bunch of like random ones that I've just kind of accrued over the years. Got a couple of good ones in here. There's a Lucky Craft down there, and another one of those Gary Yamamoto discontinued baits down there. Little Rapala guy over there, but most of these baits I don't really throw all too much. I just kind of get them from, you know, mystery tackle boxes or subscriptions or stuff like that. Alrighty, this is one of my favorite boxes to reach into, and this is my jig box. I actually used to have 2 boxes for jigs. I had one for swim jigs and chatterbaits, and then one for regular jigs, but I just decided there was no reason for me to carry 2 jig boxes, so I consolidated all of them. As you guys can probably tell, there is not really all that much organization going on in here. I tried to organize them by color and then by type of jig, sort of, so I'm going to kind of run you through how I have this organized. Most of the time, I'm fishing clear water, so a lot of the time I'm going to be fishing like a natural style jig, so something like this brown jig or something like this bluegill imitator, but most of the time I'm going to be fishing a natural colored jig, so that's why you see a whole bunch of natural colored jigs on the top. By the way, this top half is like normal jigs, like dragging jigs, flipping jigs, finesse jigs, stuff like that, and then down here are like swim jigs, like a real swim jigs, and then chatterbaits down here. But yeah, for clear water, I got all my finesse jigs, I got my Arky style jigs, I got my flipping jigs, I got my football jigs, and then this is just kind of like all of my dirty water jigs kind of mushed together. Again, I don't really fish a lot of dirty water, so I don't have a ton of dirty water jigs, so I figured I'll just throw them all in one compartment and just make it easier / harder on myself. And then down here are going to be some of my favorite baits to throw, that being chatterbaits and swim jigs. So I feel like I probably have a little bit more confidence in a chatterbait as of right now, just because I have been throwing them a lot more recently. But yeah, as you guys can tell, I've got a ton of both chatterbaits as well as swim jigs. Chatterbaits, I got a few different types. I got the big blade in here. There's like 1 or 2 of those. There's a couple of jackhammers in here. There's a couple of just normal Z-Man chatterbaits. But there is one bait in here that I love above all others, and that is this guy right here. This is a Picasso shock blade. I love these shock blades. Doesn't have to be the one with the weed guard. I actually haven't thrown this one with the weed guard on it yet, but it does look really good. But these Picasso shock blades are my favorite swim jig. I'll leave you linked a couple of them down below in the description if you guys want to go check them out. But they are my favorite chatterbait bladed jig on the market. I don't know what it is. They just have a little bit of a different presentation, a little bit of a different vibration to them. Come in some great colors. They come with and without that little weed guard. So if you guys don't want the weed guard, they also have one without the weed guard. But I'll leave both of them linked down below for you guys. They also have a great hook on here. Great little bait keeper, all around just fantastic little chatterbait. But yeah, I got a whole bunch of different types in here. I got a few custom colors in here that some of my buddies tied up for me. Got just a bunch of different random baits in here. And then the same thing goes with the swim jigs. Got a few 6th Sense in here, got a few Picasso. I got a bunch of Beast Coast in here, which I recently did a Beast Coast unboxing. If you guys haven't seen that, I'll leave it linked down below. But unboxed a bunch of new jigs from Beast Coast that I'm really excited to try out this year. Got a bunch of these little Santone swim jigs. These things are pretty solid. A little bit lighter hook, a little bit more finessey swim jig, but I do really like these things. Again, I don't really throw a shad swim jig all that much just because we don't have a ton of shad around here. But every once in a while, just to imitate like a crappie or something like that, I will throw like a white swim jig just to kind of switch it up a little bit. But yeah, like I said, this is one of my favorite boxes to reach into, especially because the chatterbaits and the swim jigs are in here. I don't throw a regular jig all too much, but I do like to throw it when I do get the chance to. So yeah, one of my favorite boxes for sure. All right, we got 2 more boxes to go, and they're both going to be topwater boxes. This one is going to be what I would consider like my slow moving topwater box. So we got all my poppers up here. We got a bunch of different spooks here and here. Got some smaller ones, or normal size ones I guess, and then some bigger ones, and then we got some frogs and some prop baits. Again, got a ton of different companies in here. Got some Spro poppers, some Yozuri poppers, a Booyah popper, and a Rashi popper. I do have a bunch of these guys. This is the River to Sea Bubble Walker. This is honestly my favorite popper on the market. It's about the same thing as the Megabass popper. I think they're honestly made off the exact same blank, but I think these ones cost a little bit less. This one is actually my favorite color. This is the Loon color, just like an all black with just like some white on the side, but really just a black popper. But I love this little thing. As you guys can see, it is very much so rashed up. That thing has been tortured. But yeah, I got a bunch of these guys. That's probably the most like consistency that you guys will see bait wise, is like 5 of these poppers in here. The only reason why I have a bunch is because the folks over at Bass Baits Monthly were nice enough to hook me up with a bunch of them. They were like, hey, do you want like a popper or 2? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take a popper or 2. And then they sent me like 8. So I got a bunch of them. Shout out to you guys, by the way, if y'all are watching. Really appreciate that. These are definitely gonna get bit. I just, I got a bunch of them, so I don't know when they're all gonna get bit, but they will. Alright, so I don't know what happened, but I guess my camera cut out for whatever reason and the rest of the footage got lost, so we're going to hop on back into it. It's now the next day, but I think we left off with these spooks, so we're going to go over these real quick. So I got all my normal spooks up here. I got a bunch of variety of like just normal size spooks. Got some Heddens, some Strike Kings, some Yamamotos, got a 6th Sense in there, River to Sea. This little guy right here is actually pretty sweet. This is a Lucky Craft. I believe this is the Gunfish. If you guys haven't tried that bait, that's pretty sweet. I don't know where you can get that color from. I think it was like a exclusive color that I got a while back from like an old mystery tackle box back when they used to be good. Then I got a few larger spooks down here. Got a bunch of the larger sizes of the Heddens. Got one of these. This is a Cotton Cordell, I think. This is a really great bait for when it's super loud or super noisy out. If you have like a ton of waves or a ton of wind or something like that, this is a great bait for that situation, especially like semi-clear water. It's a pretty natural presentation, but it's super, super loud. It's got these giant like super loud knocking rattles in it, so it makes a lot of noise, and it also puts off a good amount of water with that cupped lip. Gives a little bit of a popping action as you're walking it side to side. So, and then I also got this bait down here, which I really wanted to try but never got a chance to. This is the Spro, what do they call this? The FP Walker 130. It's a really interestingly shaped spook. I've never seen a spook shaped like this. It's got kind of like a beer belly to it almost, so I don't really know why they did it like that. I don't know why they designed it to have that weird kind of concave belly, but we're definitely gonna have to try that thing out. I threw it around a little bit this year, but I didn't really get on a good topwater bite at all this year, and I was really mainly focusing on swim baits anyway, so didn't really get a chance to throw it around all too much. But yeah, really interesting looking bait, like I said. Gonna have to try this thing out. Maybe we'll do like a comparison video between this and like a normal spook or something, really see how the action differs. I feel like it's gonna have some sort of a different action because of that beer belly, but yeah, we'll have to see about that one. Then over here on the right, I got a couple of prop baits. These are some Bagley prop baits. Got a little 1-prop little shad guy right there, and then a 2-prop bluegill imitator as well. I don't really throw prop bait all that much. They are pretty good around the spawn from what I hear. People throw these and have really good success around like the beds, up in shallow water. That's generally where I'll throw them too, is like up along shallow cover and stuff. Again, super finessey little top water, but great little deal. Again, I don't really throw them all that much, but I should probably get out and throw those at some point. And then over here on the left, we got a ton of frogs. I don't really throw a frog all too much. When I am throwing a frog, I will usually be throwing a non-popping frog. I just generally don't find that a popping frog is super applicable. Usually when I'm fishing a frog, I fish it over some real heavy scum, so I don't usually think that that cupped lip comes through that stuff as well as a normal frog does, so that's generally why I'm fishing like a normal frog 90% of the time as opposed to a cupped one. There are a couple of situations, like if you're fishing like semi-sparse lily pads, that's a pretty solid option, but usually I'm either throwing just a normal frog, or if I want like that little bit of extra action, then I'll just throw a popper usually. But yeah, I got a couple of popping frogs in here, got a little River to Sea and then a Z-Man one, and then just got a variety of just other random frogs. Got a couple of River to Seas, Reaction Innovations, Booyahs, Scum frogs, a couple more of these River to Sea frogs, just a bunch of variety of frogs. Again, I don't really throw a frog all too much. Again, another bait that I really don't have a lot of confidence in, but I do want to get a little bit better at. I was trying to get better at it this year, but I think I ended up catching like 2 frogfish the entire year, so it wasn't really a great year for frog fishing for me at least, but hopefully next year we'll be able to get on them a little bit better and get a little bit more confidence in that bait. And then this is my last box. This is kind of like my faster moving topwaters. So these are just topwaters that you just kind of chuck out there and retrieve back to you. Up here in the corner, I got a couple like jitterbug style baits. Got a classic actual jitterbug in there. And we also got this little like Strike Pro minnow profile jitterbug style thing. Don't really use a jitterbug all too much, but I know they catch some big fish, so I always have a couple of different jitterbug presentations with me. Got a couple little wake baits up here. I really need to update my wake bait arsenal. I have 2, as you guys can see, and I need to have a few more than that. I keep losing them for whatever reason. It seems like a wake bait is the kind of bait that I lose more than at just about any other type of topwater. I don't know why that is, but I feel like I keep losing my wake baits either to pickerel or pike or bass or whatever it is. It just doesn't seem like I can keep a wake bait for any period of time. But yeah, I got a little Berkley one in there, which I really like those Berkley wake bowls. Those are pretty sweet. And I also got this little Megabass one that I actually caught this. I was out fishing one day and I caught onto some fishing line, and then on the other end of the fishing line was this guy. Pretty sweet looking little bait. I believe that's a Megabass. I don't know what color that is. I think it's like one of those harder to get JDM colors, so I don't really throw it all too much. So definitely puts off a good profile, some good vibration and noise in the water as well. Definitely like that little bait. I should probably throw it some more. I don't really want to lose it. And again, I have a tendency to lose wake baits for whatever reason. Then down here, I got a few Whopper Ploppers / Berkley Choppos. I got 1 Choppo and a couple of Whopper Ploppers. Don't really throw them all too much. I don't really find that they're super applicable. I like a Whopper Plopper for when it's super windy out, but it just doesn't really get super windy when I want to be throwing a topwater. Usually the wind is in the spring or late in the fall or something around here, and it's not super windy in the summer when you want to be throwing a topwater. So yeah, I don't really throw them all that much, but I have caught a ton of fish on a Whopper Plopper. I do really like it. It was one of my confidence topwaters, again, because you can just kind of chuck it and reel it. Don't really have to do anything special with it. Then I also got a little Jackal Pompadour over here. I haven't really caught anything on this. I've had a couple of bites on it, but just haven't really hooked up with anything. For whatever reason, it seems like it almost scares the fish away. Like they'll come up and look at it, but once they get a little bit too close, they're like, yeah, that can't be real. I don't know what that is. So yeah, for whatever reason, the fish seem to almost run away from this thing. Pretty cool little bait though. If you guys want to see like a full video on this thing, I would definitely be down to do a video in the spring at some point, or maybe over the summer when the topwater bite really gets on. It's a super cool looking bait, super interesting. It's like one of those crawler style baits. I just don't really have any confidence with this style of bait, so it doesn't really get thrown all too much. Then down here, I just got a bunch of buzz baits. I kind of keep my buzz baits pretty simple. I got some black ones, some white ones, and then some that are white with some chartreuse in them. I don't really throw a buzz bait all too much just because they are even less applicable for me than a Whopper Plopper. Generally, if I want to be throwing something with some noise and some props, I will be throwing a Whopper Plopper. The only time I notice that I reach for a buzz bait over a Whopper Plopper is if I'm fishing around grass. So if there's like some topped out grass for whatever reason, like if I'm fishing like a grass line or something like that, then I'll generally fish a buzz bait just because I notice this comes through the grass a lot easier than this bait with all the treble hooks on it. And then I also keep my spinner baits in here. I don't really have anywhere else to put the spinner baits, so I just figured I'd throw them in here. Got a ton of different colors in here. Most of them are going to be like shad or baitfish style colors. Got a couple of chartreuse ones in there as well. Got a bunch of like weird off-colored ones for night fishing back there, and a couple of bluegill ones on the bottom as well. But again, most of the time if I'm throwing a spinner bait, I'll usually be going with like a white or a white and chartreuse. And yeah, that's all the hard baits that I have. So yeah, we're going to move on over to the soft baits, and I'll give you guys a quick tour of that. Alrighty, and this is my Soft Plastics container, I guess we can call it. I don't really know what you would consider this thing. It's like a little 4-tray little drawer thing. I actually got this from work. They were gonna throw it out and I was like, I'm gonna take that if you guys are gonna get rid of it. And they were like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So I use it for my soft plastics now, but the way I have my soft plastics all organized is actually by like color type, I guess. So on top we got like some weird like off random colors, got like some reds, some like sweet tater pie, which is actually a super sneaky good color. Always keep a couple of packs of sweet tater pie worms around there, and then just also like some random like miscellaneous red baits for like chatterbait trailers, swim jig trailers, stuff like that. Then the next one down, I got all my shad style stuff. So this is going to be all of like my white, like bait fish style stuff. So we got like a bunch of like drop shot stuff in here. Got a bunch of like swim baits, paddle tails. Got some flukes down here, over here. Bunch of the Zoom flukes just kind of scattered around in here. A few just like random things like the spicy beavers. This is like a weird, sexy shad color, but that's a good little chatterbait trailer. I just haven't really thrown them around all that much. Or at least not in that color. I've thrown them in a couple of different colors, just not that sexy shad one. But yeah, got a bunch of different stuff in here. Again, a bunch of swim baits, a bunch of drop shot stuff. And as I'm going through this, I'm going to kind of just like flash you guys some stuff. So I'm not really going to go through every single bait in this thing, but just to give you guys like a general idea as to what we got in here. I got a variety of different companies. Again, like I said, I just kind of fish a little bit of everything. So I don't really have like 1 or 2 companies that I like to throw more than any other. I just kind of pick up a bunch of baits that I want to try, and yeah, just kind of throw them until I don't have them anymore. This drawer looks really sad right now. This is like my dirty water stuff. So I don't really fish a whole lot of dirty water. We have a lot of like super clear water, or at least fairly clear water around here. Anything from like that 2 to 3 foot visibility and up. And so most of the time I'm not really finding myself fishing dirty water, but of course gotta have a few things here and there. So the way that these are going to be organized now, the ones up here obviously weren't super organized just because can't really organize anything in these super thin drawers, but these ones that I can actually stand the soft plastics up in, I do like to organize them as much as I can. So up front here we got some worms, just got like some Senkos and ribbon tails and stuff like that. Got a bunch of the Power Bait ribbon tails. Love these things. They were on sale for like $2.50 at the local tackle shop, so I picked up a bunch of packs of those in a few different colors. Got some chatterbait trailers, got a bunch of chatterbait trailers, some jig trailers, got a couple of packs of creature baits. I don't really throw creature baits all too much, but I do have a few packs of them in here. I really like these Power Hogs. If I'm going to throw a creature bait, I do notice that I throw these Power Hogs a good bit. But yeah, always got a couple of packs of those on hand, and then just got a couple of packs of craws and some flipping baits back here. And then just one little tiny pack of Ned rigs that I guess kind of made its way in here. They're kind of like a weird color. It's Violet Secret, so it's like this, like, it's almost like peanut butter and jelly, but a little bit darker and more natural almost. It's like a dark purple on one side and then a dark green pumpkin on the other, but super good looking color. I think it's just going to be a little bit, I don't know, kind of interesting. We'll have to try it out. Again, I don't really know where to put it. It's kind of like a weird mix between a natural color and an unnatural color, but yeah, it just kind of found its way back there. But yeah, in terms of these two drawers, I don't really have like a lot of, I guess, variation in terms of like what type of baits are in each drawer. So these are going to be a lot of like crawls, creatures, and worms, and then up here is going to be a lot of like swim baits and drop shot stuff. But that's just kind of like the nature of like the type of bait that I pick up. Usually if I'm buying like a swim bait, I'll buy like one in like a shad color and then one in like a bluegill color, and then a lot of the time if I'm buying like a worm, I'll buy like a green pumpkin color and then just like a black and blue, or like a couple of natural colors and then like a darker color or something like that. But yeah, I don't find myself throwing a lot of like black and blue swim baits or black and blue drop shot baits or black and blue Ned rigs. I know people catch stuff on it. I don't personally throw it a lot of the time. Most of the time when I'm using stuff like that, I usually use like a more natural imitator, like a bait fish imitator, or like a bluegill imitator or a crawl imitator or something like that. And then this last drawer down here is going to be my clear water stuff. Like I said, I do mainly fish clear water, so as you guys can tell, I have a ton of clear water soft plastics and a ton of variety too. The nice thing about clear water is you kind of have a few more options. So like I said, I don't really throw like Ned rigs, drop shots, finesse stuff in dirty water, but you can get away with throwing that stuff in clear water. So up here I got a ton of little Ned rig baits, got a bunch of the Z-Mans, got some of the TRD craws as well. It's just like the big TRDs, the regular TRDs, whole bunch of ones in there. Also got these missile baits Ned bombs, which look really good. Then I got a ton of packs of drop shot baits, got a few of these net baits, which I wanted to actually do a video on at some point. Got a couple of different packs of Strike King, some Robo Worms, some Guggen, a couple of Gary Yamamoto, a couple of Beast Coast, a bunch of variety, and again, all these soft plastics. Behind that, I've got swim baits and then some chatterbait trailers. A lot of the time, I'll kind of throw like a craw as a chatterbait trailer, so I don't have a ton of like chatterbait specific trailers, but I do have a couple of packs. I actually recently picked up these Beast Coast ones. These are the Blade Runners. I really like these things. I'm really excited to try these out in the spring. They look really good. Then again, like I said, I got a few more packs of the power worms, the ribbon tails back there, and then just a few packs of like ribbon tails and finesse worms way in the back. I don't find myself throwing a finesse worm all too much, just for whatever reason. I don't really throw a shaky head all too often, so most of the time if I'm fishing a worm, I'm going to be fishing a Senko. So as you guys could probably tell, this whole front half of this little middle part of the compartment is all Senko. Well, actually, there's a couple of packs of flukes up here, but most of this right here is all Senkos. Again, ton of variety, bunch of different colors, bunch of different styles, bunch of different companies. Got a bunch of these 6 cents clout ones. Again, I was working on a review for that last year. I didn't really get a chance to fish them all too much, but I have caught a few fish on them. I do have to say they are some pretty solid little baits right there. Then jumping over here real quick, we're going to talk about these baits. These are all going to be like my punching / flipping and pitching baits. So we got some of these big bite baits. These are the BFEs, or the best flipper ever. Threw these around a little bit. They're pretty good. Again, it's the best flipper ever, so they're obviously at least decent. Then of course got a couple of packs of the Rage Bugs. Also picked up a pack of the Rage Punch Bugs, which I didn't get a chance to use it all last year, but they look pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to be punching those or using them on just like a standard Texas rig, but they look pretty solid either way. Then just got some power bait ones. Can't go wrong with the Pit Bosses, so I always have a pack or two of the Pit Bosses laying around. Got some of these from Jay Corwin Lures. These are sweet, actually. I picked these up the beginning of last year. Again, didn't really do any sort of flipping or pitching last year, so I didn't really use any of my flipping and pitching baits, but these things are sweet. Actually, I'm going to pull a couple of these out for you. Now, I don't remember exactly what this bait's called, but I'll have it popping up on the screen for you guys, but it's essentially just like a 4.5 or 4 3/4 inch flipping bait. It's really interesting, though. It's kind of like a good mix between like a creature bait and a flipping bait, so you can drag them on just like a standard Texas rig or a wobble head or something, but again, I probably will be using them mostly for flipping. Super soft, but again, perfectly designed for flipping. That is kind of the application that I think these were designed for, was like some heavy punching and flipping, just a little bit of an oversized profile for you there. But yeah, these things are sweet. I want to actually make another order from this guy just to pick up some more colors of these, as well as a few more of his baits. He actually came out with a few different designs and stuff, so maybe keep an eye out for an unboxing from that guy in the future at some point. But yeah, that's pretty much all the flipping baits that I have. I don't have a ton of them. Again, I don't really do a ton of flipping. We don't have a ton of like great flipping areas around here, but every once in a while I do get in a situation where I need a good little flipping bait, so always have a couple of packs of them just in case. Then the very back of this thing over here is just a few more creature baits. Again, I don't really throw a creature bait all too much, but I have a few more packs of some natural ones. Again, some more of those power hogs. Really like those things. Also was throwing around the Man Bear Pig by Reaction Innovations a little bit. That thing's pretty sweet. I like that thing as well. Also got just like a random pack of tubes back there, which I don't fish a tube all that much, but I have a pack of tubes, so there's a pack of tubes back there. But this middle part over here, the front half, like I said, was going to be all those Senkos and then a couple of packs of flukes and stuff up there. But this back half is really all going to be pretty much all craws. A craw is one of my favorite baits to fish, just dragging it along on a Texas rig, hopping it, using it as a jig trailer or a chatterbait trailer or something like that. It's one of the most versatile baits that I think you can get on the market, so as you can imagine, I have a ton of them. And we got a bunch of different companies, as you guys can imagine. Got some Zooms, some Rage Craws, net baits, missile baits, 6 cents. We got some Z-Mans, we got some power baits, some gamblers. We got some of these discontinued Beast Coast guys. Got a couple of packs of the Kraken Craws. We even got a pack of the Rage Craws back there. So yeah, like I said, ton of variety in these things. Again, I don't really have like 1 or 2 types of baits that I really like to throw, or 1 or 2 companies of baits that I really like to throw. I really do just like to experiment with all my soft plastics, especially because you can kind of go through these things pretty quick, so it's not the end of the world if you want to pick up like 2 or 3 packs of them. That's usually like a week or 2 of fishing if you have like a good week of fishing or so. And yeah, that's how I have all my soft plastics organized. I'm sure by the end of the next year, this will either all be completely changed, all be completely gone, or I don't know, it'll look completely different. It'll probably be a complete mess, but as of right now, that's how I have it set up. Hopefully it'll keep me semi-organized going into next year. Alrighty folks, that's gonna do it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button down below, subscribe if you want to see some more content from me. To be honest, this video was kind of annoying for me to film, so hope you guys enjoyed it, because it was kind of a pain in the ass for me to film, and I'm sure it's gonna be a pain in the ass for me to edit. But yeah, hopefully now you guys have kind of an idea as to what I'm working with, what I generally tend to go to the ponds with. Again, I don't usually bring every single one of those boxes. I'll usually take like 2 or 3 baits out of them, throw them in like one box and just bring it to a pond or something. But yeah, I think this video's gone on for way too long, so I'm probably going to call it here. Hope you guys enjoyed again. Check and wreck them, and I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. Peace.